The Soul's Advice podcast acknowledges the traditional owners of the land in which this podcast is recorded, the Confederated Tribes of Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Siuslaw, and pays respect to elders past, present, and emerging. Hello, welcome to the Soul's Advice podcast, a place where you are seen and heard on a soul level. I'm Kristen Nilsson, and I will be your guide. Through channeled teachings, spiritual wisdom, and practical advice, you'll strengthen your connection to your soul's essence while remembering that you are here not to fulfill a human agenda, but a cosmic one. Thank you so much for being here. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to episode 6. Today we're going to be discussing releasing the pressure of your mind. Okay, let's get into it. So over the years, I've seen several images of pressure needing to be released. And two in particular, I will share with you today. One was a pressure cooker. I'm talking the old school retro 1970s pressure cooker that was the green and yellow colors and brown, if you know what I'm talking about. And so when I was working on my client, I got a tight feeling in my chest as I was working over his chest, throat, and heart areas. And that's when I saw the image of the pressure cooker. It was whistling and the valve was rattling and the steam was starting to creep out and the pot was getting ready to explode. It was on the verge of a disaster. And this reminded me of when my mom would use the pressure cooker back in the 80s, and it would be on the stove and you would think that the whole house was going to explode by the noises it would make. So I digress. The message that I heard at that point was, how can you let out a little steam each day so you don't explode? And so what Spirit was talking about was steam, meaning stress, worries, disconnection to self. How can you let out a little steam each day so that it doesn't have a giant buildup, which leads to an inevitable disaster? And Spirit also mentioned creating daily habits to, acknowledge and address and process your emotions are critical to, quote unquote, releasing the steam. And so when we think about what we can do every day to help with our daily stressors, to help with our pressure cooker of our mind, it doesn't have to be crazy, monumental, time-consuming activities. It could simply mean a brain dump at the end of the night before you go to sleep. Let's say you are juggling a lot of projects or responsibilities and you have a crazy schedule. In order to be able to connect to that REM sleep and that theta wave state of relaxation, brain dumping and writing down all the things that are on your mind can really help release that pressure from your mind so that you can fully relax and sleep and help your body reset itself. So I highly recommend the brain dumping. I also recommend checking in with yourself every day. And that could be as simple as, sitting and having your tea or coffee in the morning and putting a hand on your heart and just asking yourself, how are you doing today? And be completely honest. If there's something that's bothering you, a situation or an emotion that you can't quite put your finger on, giving yourself the stillness and space can help you to identify it. And then once you identify it, that's half the battle. Then you can understand that this is what it's going to take to work through it. Or now that I acknowledge you, I realize that, something is coming up for me to learn. Let me explore this some more. You can also journal. I'm a big journaling fan. If I don't feel like actually journaling, lazy person, hashtag, I do a voice memo on my phone and just let it all out. I talk to my best friends and people that I really trust that create a safe space for me to talk about how I'm feeling. And, there's just numerous ways to be able to check in and allow that steam to be released slowly every day so that it doesn't build up. And then the next scenario or sequence of images that I was shown was for another client. And this time it was a fermentation jar with kimchi in it. I I'm not 100% sure of the meaning of the kimchi, but when I think about it, it kind of has root chakra energy and sacral energy because it has, it's orangey in color. It had some like red chili flakes in it, and it's cabbage that is from the ground. So it's a root vegetable, root chakra type of food. And so that's sort of what I'm going with for now, which makes sense. But I was shown this fermentation jar that was bubbling. The lid was teetering because it was about to pour over because it was very overactive as it was fermenting. And at first it looked startling when I was in the session and reviewing it. I remember thinking, oh no, what's going to come next? But initially I was told that this is positive, as all of the bubbling and overactiveness is a good indication that it was alive. And when we have thoughts and feelings, that is our way of knowing that we're being human and that we're feeling things and we're alive. I don't know about you, but I've definitely had moments in my life where I didn't know what I was feeling because I was going through immense stress and heartache and all of the things that I really couldn't pinpoint how I was feeling, which is scary for me as a Cancer rising who feels everything. And so this was a good thing that the kimchi jar was bubbling and overactive. And the message that I received that they wanted me to share with my client was that it is safe to get the thoughts out of your mind and out in the open. Have that difficult conversation, journal your thoughts, talk to someone you trust. Keeping the thoughts inside only leads to anxiety and creating narratives that might not even be true. Thoughts are not facts. That term is something that I hear. We do not have to believe every thought that we have. We don't have to act on every thought that we have. We don't have to trust every thought that comes up, because a lot of times our thoughts are just our brain trying to keep us safe. So our thoughts are going to deter us sometimes from trying something new or taking that leap or having the conversation because our brain just says, red alert, this is scary. Why are you even going to go there? Just go back into your cave of your mind. And it doesn't allow you to change your perspective or to trust your intuition and hear the messages that are meant for you when we're on this path of rumination. And so again, similar things you can do on a daily basis to create these habits to acknowledge and process your emotions, or like I mentioned earlier, it might be scary to come outside of your mind and into this big, scary world or in a vulnerable position with someone, but it's for our own growth and evolvement. And I know I'm a broken record with the growth and evolvement piece, but that's the point of my work. But in all seriousness, there are tips and tools that you can use to be able to approach situations and have those conversations, or to help yourself release the negative loop patterns of your brain and those limiting beliefs or fears. I think what's really important and what I've learned in my own healing journey is that recognizing the root cause of why I have certain thoughts. And chances are for me, it's because of fear of the unknown, fear of, can I do it on my own? Or can I really meet that goal? Or am I even capable of having that conversation right now? And so fear of someone's expectations or reaction and all of that. So I invite you to really dig deep into the root cause of those thoughts and why you feel it's unsafe to get them out of your mind. And try to imagine this pressure cooker of the actual pressure cooker and fermentation jar is inside, bubbling up inside of you, similar to a volcano. That's another image that I was shown many times. When we push down our emotions, they lie dormant inside of us and can cause disease. And so on the other token, if we push them down and then something triggers us, they explode, and everyone and everything around us gets hurt and impacted by that. And chances are we could have controlled that on our own. So it's a ripple effect. Your energy could be felt by many people and those around you. So I feel like we owe it to ourselves to really explore our thoughts and remind ourselves that they don't define who we are and that they're not facts, and give ourselves compassion and love as we go through this hard process. It's not easy, but it's a practice. I'd love to hear if there are any tips or tricks that you have for releasing your steam every day. Yoga comes to mind, exercise comes to mind, listening to music, dancing, being in the garden, just some things that are simple that don't have to be scary, but they can allow you to release some of that steam. All right. I don't know if we're going to be doing this every episode, but I was called again to pull a card from another deck, and I meditated on this deck, the Mystic Odyssey Tarot Guidebook, and I'm excited to find out what card I pulled. One flew out right away, but I haven't looked at it yet. So here we go. Okay, the Eight of Swords. So from my understanding of the Eight of Swords, that can represent, how perfect, mental imprisonment, limitations, feeling trapped, feeling caught within a loop in our minds, negative thought patterns that can paralyze us, illusions, and fears. So let's see what the book says. Something or someone is trapped. Is this a prison of your own making? Can you think your way out of this situation? There's light in space if only you can still your mind long enough to see it. Whatever is holding you back may be loosening its grip. If it's a stumbling block from your past, move it aside. Summon the willpower to take the first step, then the second. The antidote to worry is action. You always have choices. To not choose is still a choice, and it offers you no reward. If you've been sitting on the sidelines of your own life, it's time to get off the bench and accept that the only agent of change who matters is you. Put self-doubt aside and step out into the world that's waiting for you. Woo! Step out into the world that's waiting for you, that is outside of your mind. That's my invitation for you for this week. I hope this resonates with you. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you next time. Take good care.